was so exciting to see them all come down the hallway with their flags and to see them start dancing to our music, because that's what it's for. It's dance music.
Amazing.
What did you think?
I think it was just like a music from playing like your phone instead of them playing.
They were that good?
Yeah.
See the kids from Nunavut, NWT, and now our kids from Yukon gather like this. I don't have words for that.
As far as I know, this has never happened before. And to get to meet people from the Northwest Territories, from Nunavut, that's such a cool opportunity, because everyone has different stories and different ways of sharing their community. I'm really excited to see that.
We're going to teach them what it means to cherish that music. They're going to leave here really empowered. They're going to leave Whitehorse empowered about that. It's about the music, it's about the love, it's about happiness.
Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Joseph Ho in our Whitehorse studio. Well, lots of music indeed. That was just a taste of what will happen this week in Whitehorse as youth from across the territories gather for the Pan-Northern Fiddle Summit. As you saw, it's a big deal for these young musicians. The CBC's Megan Roberts is in Whitehorse for the summit. Tonight, she's at the Sternwheeler Hotel and Conference Center downtown. Megan, tell us what's happening where you're at.
Joseph, I'm sure you can hear and see the hustle and the bustle going on behind me. There are kids, youth arriving for the Pan-Northern Youth Fiddle Summit. There's a huge crowd of people waiting to pick up their swag bags. And actually all along this wall across from me, there are bags and bags of swag for people, for youth, for the judges. So it's just a really good indication of how many people are going to be involved in this event. And I'm hoping you can hear through all of the amazing conversation behind me as well that there's fiddle music going on, and that of course is the theme of this week, the fiddle. I think anyone in Whitehorse is going to be hearing a lot of fiddling around town over the next couple of days. I spoke with some youth we saw at the top of the show as well, the ones arriving from Nunavut, and people are really excited to get together, to gather together. Youth from all three territories don't get together very often, especially for an event like this around music, and so people are really excited to play together and learn from one another, and you can see how many people are arriving, and they're just going to keep coming on, Joseph.
Tell us a bit about the summit. What is happening this week?
There's so much that's going to be going on. So I mentioned the youth coming together. One big thing that's going to be happening is that all of the youth fiddlers from all three territories and some provinces as well are going to be performing songs together. So they're going to be getting on stage, performing as a group for the first time, and practicing throughout the week leading up to a performance later this week. So kind of that theme of togetherness as well. Something else that's happening is that youth will be able to get a chance to work with master fiddlers, learn a new technique, maybe learn a new song, so look at those workshops throughout. And then finally, fiddling is such a community. That's what people have been telling me. So there will be social events as well, including a waterfront culture hop, so that people are not from Whitehorse can learn a little bit more about where we are right now. And of course, a barn dance, because what would a fiddle event be without a barn dance, Joseph? So there's a lot to look forward to this week.
Thanks, Megan. That's CBC Northbeat host Megan Roberts, live in Whitehorse tonight. She'll be back later with Boyd Benjamin, master fiddler and one of the organizers of this week's events. Yukoners will soon have a new, safer way to get from Watson Lake and Dawson City to Whitehorse. The federal government and Liard First Nation are funding transit between the communities. The chief of Liard First Nation is calling the service a game changer, especially for elders and vulnerable people. Chief Stephen Charlie says the community will benefit from having a reliable method of transportation. Charlie and other government officials announced the new service earlier today in Whitehorse.
One of the biggest benefits of this is safety. We have so many of our vulnerable individuals within the communities that do not have access to comfortable, safe transportation. So by establishing this here, we can lessen the hazards. That I have family members that have been murdered. I have family members that are missing, and it's so sad that I always think in the back of my mind, was this a result of not having transportation?
Ottawa will spend $3 million on the project. The Liard First Nation will contribute about $300,000. The money will put 7 buses in service twice a week. Watson Lake is already connected to Whitehorse by bus. The new itinerary is expected to be running early next year. A new transit service wasn't the only announcement Yukon MP Brendan Hanley made today in Whitehorse. He made 3 of them, including federal money for fire prevention in the territory.
So by procuring and upgrading specialized equipment, including personal protective equipment, weather stations, utility task vehicles, Yukoners will have safer communities with better wildfire resources.
$21 million will be paid out over 5 years from both the Yukon and federal governments. It will allow wildland fire management to update equipment like ATVs, water hoses, and communication devices. It will also pay for more firefighter training. Hanley was also on hand with a funding announcement for affordable housing. Ottawa is putting $19 million into the former High Country Inn. The project is called The Hearth. The Safe at Home Society says costs to renovate and convert the building have significantly increased, from a projected $16 million price tag to $42.
The prospect of something not continuing and seemingly feeling like you're going to fail your community is hard, and especially when it's not something you can just solve with a bake sale. Costs have skyrocketed, period. So being able to achieve this goal with the funding has been a long time coming in terms of lots of conversations, and today was a great relief to see it all come to some beautiful fruition.
Once complete, the building will have 67 self-contained units for people who are currently experiencing homelessness. It's expected to be ready for tenants in the spring of 2026. An evacuation notice in the NWT for Delaunay has been lifted. The Delaunay-Gautineau government made the announcement this afternoon. It's been 2 days since Delaunay warned its residents to be prepared, just in case the wildfire burning 20 kilometers away triggered an emergency. Now, the community government says the fire has not grown over the past day, and it got 15 millimeters of rain overnight. NWT Fire says the risk to the community is very low. A candidate who ran to be Grand Chief of the Gwich'in Tribal Council is questioning the election results. Ken Kikovichik lost his bid for re-election this week to former MLA Frederick Blake Jr. In a Facebook post, Kikovichik says he has filed an appeal. There were false accusations and statements that potentially impacted the outcome, he wrote. It was not an easy decision, but one that warrants a review in light of the election offenses that I believe have occurred under our election policy. The chief returning officer for the election tells CBC News that an investigation is underway. CBC News has reached out to both candidates for comment, but has not heard back. The NWT government and Union of Northern Workers met last month to talk about the appropriate use of agency nurses. The meeting was required by an arbitrator. It came as the territory's healthcare system struggles to get by with limited employees. As Luke Carroll reports, remaining staff are feeling strained.
I guess I kind of have to do it as like a union rep.
Andrew Gregory is the vice president of Local 11 for the UNW. It represents members at Stanton Territorial Hospital. Gregory works as an emergency critical care nurse at Stanton, but spoke with CBC News as a representative of the union.
It's been dire at times. We're under pressure. Certainly staffing is a tremendous challenge, and more so in the summer. It's always more difficult in the summer, but it seems like the trajectory is it's more and more difficult each summer.
The meeting between the union and the GNWT happened on July 17th. It was to determine a way to use agency nurses that doesn't violate a 20-year-old agreement between both parties. This was the first meeting that was had, and no agreement was established from it. But for workers and patients, the NWT's healthcare situation is dire.
The whole system is under tremendous pressure and is very near the breaking point. That is what we're being told. We are taking this extremely seriously. Many of these healthcare professionals who are bringing these concerns forward are members of my constituency, and it's my job to represent their interests. So
Testart and Robert Hawkins, the MLA for Yellowknife Centre, are organizing a town hall style constituency meeting on Thursday evening. This is on the state of healthcare in the territory. The event is open to the public. Luke Carroll, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Triple homicide accepted.
Everything all right here?
Yeah. Is there a problem?
We got a call about a disturbance.
I just think there's something really off about this guy.
I've lived through today, this day, before. I need you to believe me and tell me I'm not completely crazy.
What would you be prepared to do if you had one more chance?
Anything.
Welcome to Plan B Agency. Select your desired destination.
Oh, imagine how good the TV's gonna look now.
And spoiler alert.
No! Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Cut to. Well, we're not cutting to. Which ladies want to watch?
Look out! It's drama.
Oh.
I'm ready for it.
Breaking news that shapes your world. With local CBC Radio 1 Live to connect us closer to home. It's news you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want. On the CBC News app. Download for free.
Imagine how good the TV's gonna look now.
Oh, God!
This is incredible.
Did you know this?
As if.
Could the pressure be any higher?
Moments that are so on trend right now. Ticket pricing, artificial intelligence, being a Swiftie. Commotion, available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Kativik School Board in Nunavik is still missing about 60 teachers. That's despite school starting more than a week ago. The board says it filled about a dozen jobs in the last week, but it's still working on recruitment. Emily Warren reports.
We get hit hard every year.
The Director General of the Kativik School Board says a teacher shortage is a recurring problem in Nunavik. Harriet Kiliutak says the most needed positions are Inuktitut teachers, as well as French and English teachers. The school board has had to combine classes or temporarily cancel some classes to deal with the vacancies. Kiliutak says the board has worked hard on boosting benefits to attract more people, but that does not always work.
I think the biggest challenge is for Southerners to adapt to our region.
Kiliutak says teachers coming from southern Quebec sometimes struggle with how isolated the region is, and she says issues with running water supply can also deter some people from moving. The school board has also actively been recruiting locals, but Kiliutak says there's a lack of daycare spots, which can make it difficult for parents to free themselves up to teach.
We're missing only one teacher.
Tumasi Mayuk is the director of the Nuviti School Center in Ivuchivik. He says the biggest difficulty for hiring teachers in his community is the lack of places to house them. But so far, he says his school has been very fortunate because the staff turnaround rate is very low. The school board is encouraging anyone who is interested to apply on its website. Emily Warren, CBC News, Quebec City.
The Yukon still needs teachers as well, and that's as school starts next week. 50 jobs in the territory remain vacant. The head of the Educators Union says candidates are looking elsewhere because of the high cost of living in the north. Ted Hupe says there's a worldwide shortage of teachers, and he says the Yukon government isn't paying enough to recruit them.
This is not about winning and losing. It's not about teachers winning a healthy contract. It is about what students deserve. Our students deserve quality educators, and they deserve an adult, a teacher in every classroom. Right now, they're not getting that.
Hupe says when it comes to substitute teachers, principals have deployed people without education backgrounds. He says the territory also needs to start training more teachers locally. A podcast is about to hit the airwaves, filled with stories from elders in Labrador, and it's being produced by 4 Inuit youth. Over the last few weeks, participants in the Timeless Voices Youth Podcast program were taught skills associated with podcasting, skills like recording, how to do interviews, and doing them respectfully. 16-year-old Mary Lamp Saunders of Happy Valley Goose Bay has always been interested in storytelling. She's eager to share the story of an elder who took care of a lone bear cub.
It was like her best friend that she's seen every day. And she kept talking about the bear. No matter any subject, she would always try and go back to the bear, so I could tell she loved it.
The organizers say the program was also a way to bring elders and youth together.
It's something that's so deeply important to both of us, to have this sharing of culture but also capturing of culture. So these interviews are going to be around, even if in 10 years our elders unfortunately aren't at that time.
Organizers say the group hopes to tell many more stories in the future. Their first podcast will be released next week. The Pan-Northern Youth Fiddle Summit is happening this week in Whitehorse. It's a first for the North and a unique chance to bring Northern musicians together. Megan Roberts is in Whitehorse, where the kids are arriving and registering for the summit. And Megan, I understand you have a guest.
We did, and I haven't been able to find him yet. There's a lot going on here, Joseph, so I do apologize. I don't have my guest with me here right now, but I'll direct you again towards everything that's happening behind me. We just had fiddlers fiddling in the crowds, fiddling in the kids, which was really special. That was something that we mentioned that happened at the airport last night, and it's just such a unique gathering here for this Pan-Northern Youth Fiddle Summit, and it's also about continuing the legacy of fiddling among youth. So one of the people that is here and a co-chair at the summit is Boyd Benjamin. He is known as a Flying Gwich'in fiddler. He's very well known, and he's a master fiddler. He grew up in Old Crow, and that's where he learned how to fiddle. And he said he was also an original fiddlehead, which is one of the youth groups here from Whitehorse that was just performing behind me earlier and behind us at the beginning of the show. So he's one of the co-chairs of the event, and one of the things that he's doing is helping to create this legacy of fiddling among the youth and making sure that real northern style of fiddling is continued on through the generations, because of course fiddling is very, very unique and very important in the north. So that is one of the big goals of this summit as well, this Pan-Northern Youth Fiddle Summit. We also have some special inductees into the Canadian Fiddle Hall of Honor. So there are going to be 3 northern inductees, one from each territory, and that's going to be a really special moment as well, happening on Saturday, because of course, again, we love fiddling so much in the north and we have such talented fiddlers, and so really recognizing it at that national level is going to be really special. So all this week we're going to be sharing some of the stories of the inductees into the Canadian Fiddle Hall of Honor, and we're going to start tonight with our fiddler from Nunavut, Colin Adjan. He is the Fiddler of the Arctic, and we have a little bit right now about his story for you.
Colin Adjan created a culture in his community of song and dance. Thanks to the Fiddler of the Arctic, everyone in Kugluktuk knew both his music and had a jig. His daughter recalls a time when the family was about to eat dinner and the phone rang. Ajahn answered. Someone wanted him to play. So he left, dinner untouched. When he returned, he told his daughter, quote, "I've got to play for these people. They made me who I am." Ajahn was born in the Reed Island area, northeast of Kugluktuk. When he was 9, he got his first fiddle. The instrument took him across the north and the country. He released 3 albums and was a regular on the Northern Festival circuit. Ajahn also received the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2012. He died in December of 2021. He was 77. Already known far and wide, he'll now be immortalized in Canadian fiddle history.
That was just a taste of the story of Colin Ajahn, the fiddler of the Arctic, one of this year's inductees into the Canadian Fiddle Hall of Honor. And so special there to see as well some of the archival footage that we have that we were able to get so that you can really show the range of his career in Nunavut and across the Northwest Territories, which during some of that footage was part of Nunavut, or Nunavut was part of the Northwest Territories at the time. Of course, it's its own territory now. So Colin Ajahn is going to be one of the inductees. We have 2 more Northerners that we're going to honor this week, all leading up to that ceremony on Saturday when they will be officially inducted into the Canadian Fiddle Hall of Honor. And I'll just tell you a little bit more about some of the other things that are going on this week at the Pan-Northern Youth Fiddle Summit. Again, kind of a first of its kind event, bringing youth together from all 3 territories. It's really rare that youth can get together from all 3 territories. We see it certainly at the Arctic Winter Games, but at a musical event like this, building those connections among fiddlers has been such a unique opportunity for these youth fiddlers, and they're going to just keep building those relationships going on throughout the week. We were seeing everyone getting really excited, seeing people getting fiddled in again here. There were fiddlers playing behind us just before we started talking with you right now, and seeing people's smiles when they arrive really speaks to that sense of community in the fiddler community amongst the youth fiddlers, and that was something that they were reflecting to me as well. I spoke with some fiddlers from the Fiddleheads, which is the group here in Whitehorse that has been performing that we've seen a few times, and I had 2 of them mention to me how much of a community it is and how important that is to them and their ability to connect with other musicians. Those connections will continue to build as well, not only through that multi-performance that I told you about where all of the youth will be together on stage, but also we're going to see that in play when the youth fiddlers are getting to work with some of the Grand Master fiddlers. So this is part of that legacy I was talking about earlier. One of the goals of the event is passing on knowledge from elders, passing on knowledge from master fiddlers onto the youth so that they can keep building and growing fiddling in the North, which has been such a huge, important cultural aspect of life in all 3 territories. All 3 territories very different, of course, but fiddling is really one of the things that connects all of us, and we're really seeing that this week in Whitehorse, and I'm so excited to continue to hear all this music. Try to stop me from dancing. I can't jig, but I can move my feet, and I have been this entire time, so I'm so excited to continue to bring you this coverage on Northbeat throughout the week, Joseph.
Thanks, Megan. That's the CBC's Megan Roberts live in Whitehorse tonight. Now, let's take a look at the weather. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/north. I'm Joseph Ho. Let's send it back to Megan.
Keep going, keep going.
Hi. Yeah, you can come on over. I'll be right there.
I feel better already.
It's got to come from the heart.
I will cry. You're so together. Spicy. Now we're all just getting the sillies.
How much more connected do you want to be?
Yeah.
Is this a team meeting? Because I'm part of the team.
See you there.
How can any of this be fair?
Now, you might think, hey, we just need more doctors, but that's not really it.
A Russian scheme here shows you where it starts, where it ends.
Were you really willing to risk that job?
Yes.
At Thunder Bay's favorite festival, Wake the Giant.
Ta-da! There it is.
And spoiler alert.
Cut to.
Well, we're not cutting to.
What ladies want to watch?
Physical activity helps you feel younger, so you can age better. Everything gets better when you get active.
This is the CFBC's largest attachment. Congratulations on making the cut.
We're coming for you and everyone like you.
This job has one rule. Follow orders.
We got a snake on the plane. What?
Prepare for emergency landing.
Hang on, guys.
Alex likes things safe. Maybe you just haven't been taking the right risks. You might find you like dancing with danger.
News you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want, with local CBC Radio 1 Live to connect us closer to home on the CBC News app. Download for free.